Flow State Sangha, which is a gathering of good people, and today I'm going to be guiding a guided meditation, and we're going to be talking about the power of mindfulness and releasing stress for optimal health. And if you know me, I am all about creating optimal health and wellness. It's been the focus of my life for 18 years, both here on this channel and also just in the work that I do. So I created the Flow State Institute 12 years ago, but I've been teaching this for 18 years, and we lead yoga teacher trainings worldwide and online. And I'm so excited because at the end of this video, I'm going to make an announcement of a new program that we're releasing just in the next couple of weeks in partnership with the military, actually, to be able to heal the PTSD of the people who need it the most. And so that's my mission. It's something I'm super excited about. I'll share a little bit about that at the end of the video. But before we get started, just wanted to give you the opportunity, leave a comment, let us know where you're coming from, and if you have any questions throughout this live stream, please feel free to ask anything, because the purpose of this live session is for you to benefit, and so that you can understand more deeply the power of the benefits of yoga, meditation, breath work, or any of the things that I teach. So this is a singing bowl, if you're not familiar. This is a crystal bowl. It's made out of crystals, but it is a sound healing instrument. And we're going to do a little meditation together. So sitting up or laying down, you can do whatever you choose. Take a nice deep breath. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. All the way to the belly. And exhale. Two more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Hold it at the top. And exhale. Whenever you do this deep breathing, I always encourage, try to inhale so much that your lungs expand. You should feel an expansiveness in your heart and also your belly. So if you can breathe all the way to your belly so that your belly expands, you're bringing a new, fresh supply of oxygen to all of the cells, but especially all the way down into your gut and into your heart. And what you notice is that your heart is where we store a lot of emotions, we'll say. But actually, you store a lot of emotions in your gut as well. So there's three main areas that we store emotions, and stress specifically. And science research has shown there's an exact correlation between stress and sickness and illness. So if we can learn how to release our stress in a nice, beautiful way, that's something that you're going to do regularly so that you remember to do it, it's like enjoyable at least, then that's the prevention for sickness and disease, and it can ensure long-term health and happiness in your life and also for those around you. So it's super, super important to just learn these little hacks. These are things that I've been teaching on this channel for, I think I've been on this channel for 16 years, I don't know. I kind of go in and out. I apologize for being a little inconsistent with my videos. The main reason is because I get so overwhelmed because I have so many things. So I have like my YouTube channel, but I also have Instagram and Facebook, and I have LinkedIn, and I'm doing my business. I have my school, Flow State Institute, and we're also getting ready to release a few new things. So it's just been a lot to keep up with it. So I apologize in advance for not being on here, but I'm going to be actually starting in August. We're creating a new pattern for all of these offerings so that you can tune in more regularly. We'll actually be making videos twice a week starting at the end of August, and in partnership with this launch that we're doing with the military and the veterans, we'll be offering our yoga teacher trainings to help the PTSD healing for veterans and for everybody. So you're welcome as well. But if you know any veterans, either in your family or people that you just know personally, then this is something that you might want to share with them. Let them know that we have a new program launching in August that they can use their education stipend to pay for the training retreat in India and online to become certified in yoga as flow state yoga teachers, but more importantly, to heal their own PTSD. And in healing themselves, usually what happens when you heal yourself is you get inspired and motivated to help others. So that's why I created this as a teacher training and a certification program instead of just teaching it as a course. I used to just teach it as a course for like 6 years, and then I transitioned because now I believe once you learn how to do this for yourself, you're going to want to share it. It's human nature to want to help people. If people around you are suffering, you want to help them. Okay, so I have a question here in the comments. Bad is rad. Ask the question, I love your positivity. And then he says, what is the best diet for candida? Okay, so, and then he asked, or she, I'm not sure, yeah, she asked, let's see, how are you doing with your mental health and candida? Okay, first of all, I want to mention, if you don't know what candida is, I have a video that you can watch that I talk about it. And everybody has candida. Most people are very unaware of what candida is, so I'll just explain what that is really quickly. Candida is sort of like a fungus bacteria that lives in everybody's gut. It's in everybody. And actually it has a little bit of a purpose, right? So it has a balancing effect, and it's supposed to kind of help balance out the food that you eat, and it sort of like consumes certain foods so that it breaks them down better in the gut, things like that. So everybody has candida. What happens when candida becomes overpopulated, which means that it gets overgrowth and then there's too much of it, is that you start getting symptoms. So if you have symptoms of candida overgrowth, which actually science has shown is in large part triggered by stress and also consuming things such as sugars, starches, alcohol, there's a number of things that feed it. Fried food. Um, there's like a whole list, and I have created an ebook even about this. It's called the 3-stage energy diet, and basically the energy diet is about eliminating the overgrowth of candida and also fortifying your cells with all of the superfood nutrition so they can function optimally. So that diet is available in the Flow State Yoga Teacher Training. It's also available in the Total Life Cleanse program that I have on my website, and a couple of other things. You can find all of these in the Flow State app. You can download my app for free at theflowstate.app and check it out. And we have the Total Life Cleanse in there and some other information. But basically, the overgrowth of candida leads to a lot of symptoms. So if you've been feeling chronic fatigue, like tired a lot, if you have nasal congestion or mucus a lot, if you have brain fog, you feel like your brain is just not optimal, but also a big one is bloating and lots of extra gases in your belly, because when the candida starts overgrowing, they produce gases. So that's how you can know they're like putting off these gases, and then you get bloated. But besides for that, the toxins from that start to make your whole life not optimal, right? Your brain fog means you can't think clearly, your energy is low. All of those are symptoms of candida. Now, just a little caveat, those are not meaning that those always mean you have a candida overgrowth. It could be something else. I have had times in my life where I thought I had candida and it was actually something else. Something similar, like a different type of bacteria overgrowth in your gut could create similar symptoms, and you need to look at that, and the best way to do it is by getting a gut test. You can get gut tests. I found a really good one if you want to learn about your own health and gut. You can go to this website It's called nirvanabiome.com. Nirvanabiome.com. I'm not being paid by them, but basically just wanted to let you know about it. It's a stool test, right? So they send you the test, and then you can send them your sample, and they will analyze it, and they can show you millions of things about your gut, like about your DNA, about like imbalances, if you have any foreign bacteria that are not good for you, things like that. So you can literally go through this process of learning about what's going on, and then you need to learn about the solutions to fix whatever that imbalance. So that's the next stage after that. But if you go to nirvanabiome.com, go get the test. You can let them know I sent you, they're my friend. But basically, this is step one. First, you have to find out what's actually wrong with you if you're having symptoms. And then the next step after finding out what's wrong with you is fixing it, right? Healing yourself. And the best way to do that is through a systematic approach. I actually found an amazing doctor, and he does like telemed types of things. So if you're far away, you can still work with him. Dr. Birch, he's in Santa Barbara. And if you're interested, leave a comment and I will put his contact information for you guys, because I don't remember it offhand, so I'll have to go get it. But basically, Dr. Birch is really amazing. He's a specialist in wellness, specifically focusing on the gut. So they have this new, it's not really new, but anyway, this biohacking process that they do that one of my good friends told me about, and I'm going to be doing it, super excited. It's called FMT, and it stands for fecal matter transplant. So this is a process where they go and find someone with like perfect health in their gut, and then they transplant their microbiome into yours, and then you get their microbiome. So they actually give you their healthy gut. So I'm going to be going through this process in the next couple weeks, and I'll let you know how it goes. But one of my good friends did it, and he told me it was so like super life-changing, and it's like the #1 biohack that he really thinks, that he's done. So I was like, let me look into this. So I looked into it, found a place that does it. Super interesting. What they said was, in order to qualify to be a donor of this like perfect biome, it's very difficult. Like you've never had antibiotics, you can never have had vaccine, never had COVID, right? So there's a list of things that are like killing the biome. So if you had a vaccine before, if you had antibiotics before, if you had COVID, if you had many, many other things, right? That is considered, you're in the category of not the healthy biome. So in order to be a donor, people have to like qualify. And so there's not that many people that qualify. He said actually in Santa Barbara, it's higher than most places. They get 20% success rate, which is like extremely high. I think in the world, or at least in America, it's probably like 2% that have never had an antibiotic, never had a vaccine, and have never had COVID. But anyway, I'll fill you in. Leave a comment if you'd like more updates about that process that I'm undergoing. My goal in life is always to just have like perfect health, right? So I'm like, if I ever have an opportunity or even an inkling of intuition that guides me to this possibility of something that could be a permanent solution for something that's been out of balance in my life, I always try to do it. So I encourage you to do the same. Think about it. Things can come along in your life and you're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then you just don't even do it. Maybe it's because of the money, maybe different reasons. And so if that happens in your life, you want to look at that, because that's actually what I consider somewhat of a self-sabotage pattern. It's like when you get some opportunity that's going to change your life completely, and then you go, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, and then you don't do it, right? Or like, oh, that's a good idea, and not do it, right? So it's like, look at how it comes to you, how you process that information. Do you sit with it and go, wow, maybe this is for me? Do you ask the questions? Do you do the research? Or do you just brush it off and keep walking, So this is kind of like our relationship to life. And the more curious we are with like things that come into our energy, into our field, and what we do with that information is in large part what determines our whole life outcome. So it's super critical that we're aware of this experience that we're having in every moment. Let's see, we have some other comments here. Hi Lori, your amazing work. You work so hard. Oh, I love you. Let's see, wellness. Sugar and fake sugar feels like the number one thing to heal it. And her Total Life Cleanse is perfect for this. I highly recommend the Total Life Cleanse. Oh, thank you, Lori. Yeah, the Total Life Cleanse has been a lifesaver for me. Over the years, I developed it because I was having so many, we'll call it candida imbalances, overgrowth, whatever you want to call it. Like, I would just get that. And I think a part of it was traveling a lot. So there was this chronic stress of traveling all the time that was causing some of it. And then I would tune into my gut and I could feel I had like a anxiety energy. It's like a tension that doesn't calm down. So that like anxiety in the gut, which is like an unstable, unsafe energy, because if you're moving around a lot, your body can feel that way, and it can produce or create this imbalance. Because think about it, let's say your gut is like a little town of people. We'll call these people these little microorganisms. Literally have millions of microorganisms that live in the gut. So imagine millions of these little guys in there, and then inside their little town or their home, it's always like shaking a bit, right? That's what anxiety feels like. It's like this, a little bit unsteady, a little anxious, like this energy, right? And if it's always like that, it starts to rattle their energy too, right? So they get uncomfortable. And so the little microorganisms that are feeling this like instability, discomfort, stress, anxiety, whatever it is, it starts to create imbalances where they start like eating more sugar and then producing all these gases. And it's like this interesting correlation between the microbiome, which is your gut, and the rest of your health, right? So if that's happening in there, then it's producing this overall little bit of imbalance everywhere, right? In your mind and your emotions. And so you can start to observe the correlation between your gut health and the rest of your health. And like I said, studies have shown in research that 90% of our happiness hormones are created in the gut. So if you have like gut problems, it's actually causing overall imbalances in your mood, your energy, your health, your ability to process emotions or challenging situations. So this is super critical and important for everybody to learn about this, and not just learn about it, but apply it in your life. And if you're a part of the Flow State Institute, you could make this an entire focus of your career. Like, there's so many people that need this. Like I just said, only 20%, and that's very high. That was a very unique city, Santa Barbara. 20% qualify to be considered having a healthy gut. So that means 80% of people don't have a healthy gut. That means 80% of all people, which is billions of people, need help with this. So if you're motivated, inspired to serve in that way, help people with their gut, help yourself first, of course, and then there's many ways that you can serve. You can help people through the Total Life Cleanse. You can help people to heal their gut, to create balance in the stress that they carry there. So that's why I like to teach the meditation and the sound healing and the breath. Those things, and also yoga, it all helps to release the chronic anxiety that you might be carrying in your gut, right? So tune in for a moment. You can just tune in with me, like just feel it for a second. Put your hands on your belly. Close your eyes if you can. Take a few deep breaths. Breathe into your belly. So you want to take a nice deep breath all the way to your belly. Couple breaths. And then tune into the energy in your gut and really feel it and see, do I feel like I'm carrying stress in my gut? Do I feel an instability? Do I feel safe? And these are not necessarily just like where I am in this exact moment, but general sense in your life. Safe and stable can also mean in your finances, it can mean in your relationships, it can mean in your home environment, it can mean in your family dynamics, it can mean in your career. There's many different ways that we do or do not feel stable and safe. So if we don't feel stable and safe, it's going to create this low-grade chronic anxiety. So low-grade chronic anxiety is this feeling that at any moment everything could fall apart, basically, because anxiety is this feeling of fear about the future, right? So it's like this feeling like it just could all just blow up, right? Like at any moment, whatever feels somewhat safe and secure right now may not last. And it's this fear about the future being worse, right? You would never have fear about the future being better, right? So it's always the thought that the future is going to potentially be worse. So what I do in working with this is the breath work is the first step, sound healing, relaxation, yoga, but also really tuning into your belief systems about the future and starting to work with affirmations in your mind about that the future is actually going to be better than even the present or the past. That, start to program your consciousness to know and to believe and to trust that the future is getting better. And the only way to really feel that about your life is to know that you're proactively working towards it getting better. Like, if we're to just be like, it's gonna get better and then not do anything, then that could be like a little bit of delusion. And if you're living in a delusion, your soul knows that. And your body knows that too. So that low-grade anxiety will never go away if you're just in a delusion because you're not actually doing anything to proactively make your future better or make your life better right now, right? So what are some things that you could do that would make your life better in the future or even in this moment, right? So first and foremost, these things that I just shared with you, tune in to how you're feeling. Being in touch with how you feel is the baseline for all growth and improvement. Because if you know and you're honest with yourself about how you're really feeling inside, and then from there, choosing to make better choices that are going to make you feel better, whether it's a change in the diet, doing the total life cleanse, doing yoga today, doing yoga every day, breathing a couple times a day, just conscious awareness, mindfulness around your breath, tuning into how you're feeling. And also, probably more than anything, I would say the key to it all is really being committed to your best health and to your life, right? Committed to yourself. And so yourself knows if you're not fully committed to your highest self. Meaning, like, if you don't show up for yourself, if you don't do the things that you say you're gonna do, like if you're like, I'm gonna practice yoga every day, and then like you never do. Basically, your consciousness starts to not trust you anymore. It's like you never do what you say you're gonna do to yourself or for other people even. So then that lack of trust creates more of this anxiety. Also could go the other direction, could create depression. So depression and anxiety are totally opposite. Depression is just like no purpose, feeling like lack of will to live. Anxiety is just fear about the future getting worse. So those two are coming from this lack of trust of yourself. Of yourself, you can't trust yourself because you let yourself down a lot or you let other people down a lot. Then you have to look at that. Now, if you're not letting yourself down and you're constantly like showing up for yourself, and maybe you're still not fully getting to that place of like, nirvana, where like, and then there's zero anxiety, then you might want to look at the strategies you're implementing for your life, right? So the health strategies, the financial strategies, the work strategies, all of these things are super important to kind of like have the right strategy, right? So let's say, for example, you are having this anxiety in your gut and you're like, you tune into it, you have an awareness that it's there, you feel it, and then you go, okay, that's not good, but okay, and then you just go about your day and you don't do anything about it. So that's considered no strategy. Now, having some strategy would be like, okay, I'm gonna do some breath work, and then you just do whatever you think of doing whenever you decide to do it. So that's like a very simple strategy that's not very effective. The reason is because in order to create measurable results that you can see, you want to have a measurable system or strategy to get you there, right? So measurable in the sense of, okay, you're like, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day, or let's say 10 breaths 5 times a day, whatever amount, but you just want to have some quantifiable, measurable progress that you're going to work towards, right? Up to 30 minutes of yoga 4 times a week. These are the days I'm going to do it. These are the times I'm going to put it in. Like every morning I go on a walk with my puppy and she likes to run. So we run and then I do yoga. So that's kind of like a really nice flow that I have with my morning and with my evening. So I actually do it twice a day. She creates that kind of like requirement for me, but it's nice because I put it in with our walk. So now we go to the park, she runs around to her heart's content, and I do my run and I do yoga. So these are little ways that I build it into my routine so that it's always taking place. So you have to find ways that you can do that for your own life, where you're like, okay, I'm going to put this in to my routine. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you're like, yeah, like when I take them to school, then like when I come back, I have this 30 minutes. Like you have to say, I'm a priority for myself, and therefore I'm going to fit myself into my schedule and I'm going to pencil it in, right? So that's a strategy that's going to create measurable results and consistent measurable results. Now, when it comes to the other part of that question, because they said, how are you doing with the mental health and the candida? So I answered the part about candida, but I just wanted to answer the part about the mental health. So I noticed the correlation, of course. So there's a direct correlation between what's happening in your mind and what's happening in your gut, and then also what's happening in your general life, whether it's your relationships or your energy or your career, any of that. So I started to look at my relationships more intently, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So look at your relationships and say, okay, so which relationships in my life do I feel safe? And when I mean safe, what I mean is if I tell them, if I share with them something that's deep in my heart, meaningful, and maybe sensitive for me, how do they handle that? For example, do they make me feel unheard, unseen? They don't care, right? Am I trusting my intimate heart and feelings with people that disregard that and don't care and don't treat it with like that it's a precious little gift, right? Instead, they go disregard, don't listen, kind of gaslighting, saying whatever. So, like, these are all things that people might do when they don't have the capacity to hold space for other people. So, if you have people in your life that are doing that, I did, I started just eliminating those people because I noticed I would feel really bad because I would trust them with things that were happening in my life that were challenging for me, and they weren't able to like hold space in a loving way or listen even, right? And they made me feel like there's something wrong with me. And just so you know, there's nothing wrong with you. Like you're perfect. Like everybody is perfect. Like there's nothing really wrong with you. There's just adjustments that can be made to grow, to heal, and to prosper, right? To thrive. If you're not thriving in certain ways, there are adjustments that need to be made. And some of it, it's deep. Some of it's lifetimes that needed to be some healing there. But everybody's in a different place on their journey. But nobody is inherently broken or wrong or like something that you need to think is wrong with you. It's overall, everybody's just healing and growing at your own pace. And so if the people around you that you trust with your intimate heart don't treat that with loving kindness, then what you have to do is choose yourself. Choose yourself means not trust them with your heart anymore. Don't share those intimate things with them. And for me, I even usually choose to just stop talking to them altogether. Because I'm like, I only have so much time in the day. I have lots of friends, and I don't need people in my life that are not able to hold space properly in a loving, kind, and compassionate way. So that's just how I am. But maybe you're not ready to like cut people off cold turkey, but that's okay. Like maybe you just are like, well, instead of cutting them off completely, I'm going to communicate. I need you to hold space for me. Whatever it is where you can reach a good place with everyone in your life, that they know that whatever you're going through, they love you unconditionally and they hold space for you no matter what. Those are good friends. So anybody else? Bye, Felicia. That's how I look at it. Like people that you can't count on, people that you call, they don't really like respond properly. Like, you just have to say, okay, this is not a friend. They can be an acquaintance or something like that, but you just don't want to put much investment into those types of people. So that's what I've learned. Now, on the other side of it, if you're going through a portal of healing, you might just find that there's going to be a whole different community of friends on the other side of this. As you level up your energy and your relationship to life and your self-worth and your value of your own energy and yourself, you'll notice that you will have better people in your life. People that can show up for you, people that care, people that are like deeply loving, compassionate, kind souls who really do care. And those are the kind of friends that you want to be around. And also people that are fun, people that are lighthearted when it's time for that, or all the time, and joyous, smiling, some laughter. You need to have that around you. Laughter is medicine. So these are kind of like, when it comes to mental health, these are the things that make a big difference for me. Because when I look at my mind, usually it's like I'm analyzing a dynamic that I have with somebody in my life. And I'm like, if I don't have any more of those people, then the mind becomes extraordinarily healthy and clear. Because I'm no longer processing the stories of like, why doesn't this person show up for me? Or like the interactions that we had that didn't feel safe, right? So in that regard, you can start to curate the energy in your life in such a way that with this process, if you do this over and over until you don't have any more to do, you will notice that the only people that remain in your inner circle are like your cheerleaders. They are your besties. They are like people that are there for you. And then you start to create a sanctuary of safety around you that feels really, really good. And that safety, when you know you have that around you, then you can start to feel it inside as well. And it works both ways. If you meditate and you start to bring the feeling inside, then it can translate to attracting it on the outside. So both sides, inner and outer, can work together, right? So doing the work to feel it inside, and then paring down any relationships in your external reality that don't provide that safety and that loving compassion and kindness that you deserve, right? And all of this is connected to the root chakra and the feeling of, I am safe, I am secure, all of my needs are met, I am loved, I am lovable. All of this energy here comes from our childhood. A lot of times in childhood, maybe we didn't feel those things. Like if you know my story, I had a really traumatizing childhood. My mother lost her mind when I was 7. I grew up in foster care, and I got split up from my family very early. So I had all of these feelings of, I am abandoned, I am unlovable, I am unsafe, like so many layers and layers and layers of that it's taken me a long time to heal that. But I feel really, really confirmed about the importance of this path, because even with all the trauma that I experienced, I feel I have an extraordinary mental health and capacity to serve and to create and to contribute and I was even inducted into the Happiness Hall of Fame, so to experience heightened levels of joy and bliss and flow, and all of those are available to everyone, even people who had the deepest trauma like myself. So I just want to like put that out there in case you're like, oh, I had so many hard things, like how could I ever feel joy? It's available to us all, and truly, like, it's a frequency that we can tap into even if we have some unresolved trauma. And the more that we tap into the, what I call the bliss channel, that high vibration energy, through the meditation, through the mindset, through your breath, through your healing journey, through the Flow State Institute, we teach all these things. That when you can keep tapping into that bliss channel repeatedly, like every day, consistently, you can entrain your vibration to live in a high vibe state, even if you have unresolved trauma, even if you have healing work to do. And everybody does, right? I'm still always healing some stuff, whether it's from past life, from my childhood, like things will come up. That's what we call triggers. In the book that I wrote, Journey to Joyful, I have a whole chapter, or a whole part called Shenpa, and the Shenpa is about the trigger. It's a Buddhist sort of Tibetan word, Shenpa, but it's related to this idea of the trigger. And the trigger is so important to understand because everybody has some triggers, right? Like when something comes into your life, into your field, and it triggers this feeling of abandonment or unworthiness or sort of whatever the feeling, right? Unsupport, unsafe, I don't have enough, like those energies, they get triggered from like what's going on in our life. We gotta look at that, and it's an opportunity to stop, breathe, focus our awareness, be mindful, and really look at it from a lens of curiosity. Like, how can I look at this and how can I shift that energy? Because I know that's not who I am. I am not this abandoned child that has all these issues. I am this empowered goddess who runs her life in a great way, whatever you want, however you want to look at it. And you just start to like see yourself through the lens of empowerment. And so when those triggers come around, you're like, that's not who I am. And you start to work with the energy of that inner child or the energy of that feeling that came up and realizing, okay, so if that's not who I am, then I need to release that. And then just breathing, I am safe, affirmations are really important. And just breathing into that energy until it dissipates. The nice thing about energy is it can move, right? Energy in motion, emotion. It can move, and as we release it, it can come out through crying, through cleansing, many ways that we release emotion. But once you release it, then you can fully heal. And once you can fully heal, then you can even be of greater service to others around you. You can have a better life, you can just live with peace and happiness. There's so many benefits to doing this work. So a lot of people call this the shadow work. So the reason I think that it's called the shadow work is because a lot of times we keep these painful things in the shadow, right? It's like in the dark closet of our subconscious, or like we just don't want to look at it. So shadow work is really the process of looking at the darkness, looking at the difficult, painful things, and choosing to love those parts too, right? So you have to like love those parts of yourself, not like, oh, get away from me with your darkness. No, it's like, okay, that's part of me. I love myself because I love all of me, and the inner child was abandoned. The inner child felt unloved, and I'm going to love my inner child so much that we're going to become close friends. And so when I think of my inner child, or when I have any memory or something comes up about that, then I'm just gonna like wrap her in love and make her feel safe and help her to feel safe. And the more that you can keep transferring that energy of you're safe, you're loved, you're worthy, you're valued, all those energies start to transform your life, because that fractured inner child energy can be ruling your current life in a different dynamics. So you want to look at your current adult life scenarios and go, okay, is that my inner child showing up, or is that really who I am, right? So the part of you that pushes people away, or is needy or clingy, or never feels like you're getting what you need, like don't feel support from life or from the people around you, whatever it is, like there's always these little things. Like think about if you were 5 or 7 or 8 or 12 years old, like what is the little child inside feeling? And then usually it's the feeling that you're having that's getting triggered. So if you notice that it's an inner child emotion that's coming through in the adult life, you have to work at the inner child level in order to release it, heal it, and then it won't happen anymore, right? So if you used to get triggered when people did something, like one thing that used to trigger me a lot, which is silly, but people would call me tiny or small, right? And I'm a very petite lady, so I'm like 5 feet, and being tiny, I never really cared, except for everybody always pointed it out, so it bothered me because I was like, why is everybody gotta say that all the time? Like, it's obvious to me, but like, why do you point it out, right? It's like if somebody's super overweight and then everyone's calling them fat, it's like just kind of rude, it's like just don't say anything at all, right? The golden rule: if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But for whatever reason, people just always say it. So I felt triggered by that. When people would call me small or tiny or short, I felt triggered by that, and I would feel bad about myself, like, oh, I'm so small, because I would correlate the size small to like an energy now all of a sudden I'm small. But I realized I have a big energy, and I actually had a realization that it was probably the reason my soul chose a small, tiny body is because I have such a big energy. If I would have been in a big body, it would have been overwhelming for the world. It would have been like a Tony Robbins type of energy. He's like 6'5" or something, and then he has this huge energy. That would have been me, because I have a huge energy, so I'm a tiny lady, and like because of being a little bit more petite, even with my huge energy, it's not overwhelming as much for people, apparently. So that's a good thing. So anyway, finding the beauty, the silver lining, the blessing in the challenging things that trigger you. That's really what I'm trying to say. So if you have something for yourself, like somebody says, oh, you have this, like whatever it is, and then whenever they say that, it triggers you and it makes you feel bad, whatever it is, that's when you gotta look at yourself, and it's either you look at yourself and you say, oh, this is something I can actively change about myself if you want to, right? Maybe it's like someone saying, you know, you're negative a lot. Well, okay, if you're negative a lot and someone points it out and it triggers you, that's probably a sign you should work on that and not be negative so much, right? But if it's something that you can't control, like your height, and they say it, then you gotta look at the inner child and where is this really coming from, where you feel bad about this stupid thing, right? And so there's two different ways. One, the trigger might be a benefit to help you to grow and help you to evolve. And if it's that, then you gotta look at it and be very like truthful, honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. There's nothing worse than lie to yourself, like, oh, I'm actually fine, when you're not, right? Here's an example. I was talking to my sister, and like, she had this like almost Tourette's syndrome type of energy, where like she would just all of a sudden out of nowhere be like, and like swearing, and like this really harsh energy coming out. And I told her, I was kind of putting up with it for a while, but it was really harsh. And I told her, like, that energy feels kind of like as if my dog just like shit all over the room. Like, that's how harsh it is. It's terrible, and it leaves a bad smell even. Like, it's like, now we have to clean up the room from the energy of this like outbursts of Tourette's syndrome. And at first she didn't want to hear it. Like, she actually was like, well, if people don't appreciate every single thing about me, then I don't want them in my life. And I was like, well, that's one way to look at it, but like, if your dog shit all over the room, you just train the dog to stop doing that. And then the room is clean and everybody's happy and the dog's happy too. So it's not like you need to be like, if you don't like this part about me, then bye. Instead, really look at yourself and say, maybe I could grow. Maybe I could let go of these behavior patterns that feel toxic to people around me, and they're pointing it out for a reason so that I can actually grow and evolve. So actually taking that position of like openness to grow is a very evolved, mature kind of consciousness. And so that's how people who are evolved and mature actually do continuously grow. It's by having honest, beautiful friends that actually maybe say it in a way that's kind. Like when I said it to my sister, I didn't just outright say that. I started by saying all the things that I love about her, and then I said this one thing that's like difficult for me to process when she does it. And then I followed it up by saying all like some more things that I love. So that we call this like kind of a constructive feedback sandwich. So you start with the nice thing, then you say the constructive part, and then you end it with a nice thing. That way it doesn't feel like you're just like telling them they need to change, but instead you're more like, okay, I love you for these things. This is a little thing that could change and be better, and then I love you. So it's a nice way of doing that. It's a good communication technique. Let's see. Lori says, I definitely wouldn't qualify. Qualify for what? Let's see, Mike. Could you please leave a link for any sites you mentioned today? Okay, I will, Mike. Thank you for reminding me. Can you talk about how to not self-sabotage? Hey, that's a good question. Christopher says, you look especially beautiful today. Hey, thank you. You're so sweet. Let's see. Lori says, yes, this is amazing advice. Hey, 4444. This is amazing advice. Went through so many people that had to be let go of for my health. Yeah, good. I'm always healing something. You know, it's so interesting about the healing journey. I think so often, like, people think that there's like an end to the healing journey. I actually don't even think there is, because think about it. In the human body, your body is always going through something, right? It's either evolving, we're all aging in some way. I mean, I have a lot of biohacking techniques that help me to stay youthful. Like, most people don't believe that I'm 41, and I feel like I look the same as when I was like 20, mostly. So it's pretty awesome. Like, you can kind of stop the aging process, but at the same time, as we grow, there's always something to work on, right? So when we look at it like that, it's part of the growth, it's part of the evolution. So instead of like, I'm always healing, just think of it like, I'm always growing. Like, if you're growing, you're evolving. And if you're evolving, that means the little weak links gotta go. And that's a continuous leveling up process. So instead of like, I'm always healing, which feels very disempowering, you can re-empower your journey by saying, I'm always evolving. And part of that is letting go of the weaklings. I like to call it. But anyway, okay, Mike had a question. He said, can you leave, okay, he actually said, can you talk about how to not self-sabotage? So we're gonna end with this. This is a good question. How to not self-sabotage is a very important skill. Here's the thing about self-sabotage. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I just want to mention, because self-sabotage is very common. I mean, a lot of people do it, and some people, even the highest level people, do it in little ways. But the difference is, the people that are masters of this learn to not, like, you catch it earlier, and then you create habits around not doing it. So for example, let's say your self-sabotage pattern is, you say you're going to do stuff and then you don't do it. Like, that's a common one. Or procrastination is another word of that. Or another way to say it is kind of like not following through with your promises to yourself, right? Whatever it is, right? There's different ways of self-sabotage. It could be that you get really close to something happening that you've been working really hard for, and then your mind steps in and starts saying all these reasons why it's not going to work out, and just like talking you into a spiral down about why things never work out, so it probably won't happen for you this time. Like, there's different ways that the mind self-sabotage. So it's a matter of catching it, right? Be your own coach. Now, in the beginning, I always suggest, actually, if you can, get a coach. Hire a coach. In fact, with the Flow State Institute, we have hundreds of certified coaches. If you want a coach, Lori's a coach. There's coaches with us. But if you want a coach, you can contact me, and I can put you in touch with a coach, a mentor, somebody that can help you. And what you want is somebody in your team. But if you can do it for yourself, then you're your own coach. That's what the master level is, that you have your own inner coach. That when you see these patterns where you're doing it again, and you catch yourself, and you say, nope, we're not doing that. And you flip the switch, and you do the opposite of whatever that was, right? So if your sabotage pattern was, I don't show up for myself, I don't do what I'm saying I'm gonna do, now it's your commitment. You always show up, you always do. And like, when you don't, you give yourself some kind of punishment in a way, like a discipline, where you're like, okay, I have to do 10 push-ups every time I don't do it. I have to get up at 5 a.m. every time I don't do it. Sometimes it helps to do something extreme, like ice baths are really good, or like getting up at 5 a.m., like the 5 a.m. club is a great one, because these types of pattern interrupt, we call it. Pattern interrupt is where whatever your pattern is, you need to do something completely extreme and different in order to move the energy and to get yourself to be a different type of behavior. So ice bath, cold shower, go for a run, or it could be something as gentle as like doing a meditation every day on a certain time schedule, set the alarm, whatever it is. But you got to do something that interrupts the pattern and change the behavior. So the behavior is the self-sabotage thing that keeps happening. Now, maybe it's a thought form, maybe it's negative self-talk, maybe it's like I said, actions that you're not doing, which probably is coming from a lazy consciousness that's not doing it. You know, whatever it is, you got to look at it. A good way to look at it is journal. Look at your journal, write all these things down. Like, okay, let me look at my patterns. What is actually my self-sabotage patterns? What am I doing specifically that's blocking my ability to get to that next level? Okay, now let me make a shift there. What new behavior I'm going to replace with that? What commitment can I put in place that's going to dramatically change the way that I operate my life now? And then stick to it. And give yourself like a time frame. That's why I like challenges. I started the Global Yoga Challenge movement in 2008 with 30-day yoga challenge. The reason that we started that was because I said people need to do something repeatedly every single day for at least 30 days to create a habit. So you have to commit to a new change in your behavior, a new pattern interrupt. You could do the 30-day yoga challenge. That's actually in the Flow State app too. The flowstate.app. Go download it. You can do the 30-day yoga challenge. But do something every single day that changes your energy, changes your behavior, and makes you focus on the positive every single day. And when you do that, you're going to notice that the old patterns, the sabotage patterns, they start to just weaken and they dissolve because your new energy wouldn't put up with that. You're like, I am valuable, I am worthy, I am like going to create an amazing life, and therefore these old ways are no longer working for me, and I'm going to cut those out with the sword and be a warrior in your own life. Any other questions? Okay. We're coming to an end for today. I'm so happy that we got to have this time together. Let's see. Lori says, yes, feel free to message me. I'm actually taking on a couple of clients, just having a plan and a cheerleader. That's why I've come back here every single Sunday. Yeah, Lori's been a part of our community for years, and I know that she's open to take some clients, and I highly encourage anybody who wants to make a breakthrough, hire a coach. Virtual coaches are great. You can text, you can do voice notes, you can do FaceTime. You know, just have a coach, even if it's just 15 minutes, 30 minutes every week, somebody to check in with, somebody that's in your corner, somebody that's a good listener, has good advice, and really can help you. And that's what the Flow State Yoga community is all about. We have hundreds of certified coaches, and like I said, we're getting ready to release our new program, which is going to be available for the military, for the vets and their families. So if you know anybody in the military or anybody in your family that's in the military, they can transfer the education stipend to you, or you can let them know about it. And they could transform their entire life by doing this immersive transformational certification program. And the 500 level and the 1,000 level we're releasing this August will include a journey to India. So this is a life-changing experience, and it also gives people a whole new career path. And we're going to be developing another version of the Flow State app that would also give people a directory, so you would be able to go in, search our teachers, and have access to hiring them as your coach or becoming a coach, and create a whole new way of serving and showing up and being in your highest self with support, knowing that you're surrounded by loving people that just want to see you happy, healthy, and successful. That's what we're all about here. Let's see, Lori says, the community is the best. I've made the most amazing friends all over the world from her training. Yeah, Lori, you know, and you're so friendly. Lori is so friendly. She's like always connecting to people, and I think that's so smart, is, you know, find people that you resonate with and then become friends. Think about it. Where else are you going to meet amazing, similar people that are on the spiritual path, except for in community? And that's what we're all about. It's like creating community so that you have a safe place of love and support and people that are on the same path, and you can co-create together. The graduates from our programs, they go on to lead retreats. You could become the 500-hour certification, and then you could lead continuing education retreats for other yoga teachers. There's so many opportunities, like I said, even with the veterans, in the school systems, in the government, corporations, people looking for health and wellness, specifically with Flow State Yoga. And I did a Google Analytics the other day. Over 100,000 people are searching on Google every single month for the flow state. So being in the flow state community, you become highly in demand because people are searching for this. And you can offer your coaching to people all over the world via Zoom or online or on the phone. So you have limitless capacity to create an amazing career, and nothing's stopping you but yourself and your strategy. We even have a business training program as well. And the Master Business Academy teaches you how to make your own business, A to Z, how to lead your own retreats, how to make online courses, and how to create everything that you could ever dream of to make yourself a success with your new career. So I have all of that, and we're going to be offering the business training. Actually, we're going to be offering some of these courses at a university in LA coming up soon as well. LMU, Loyola Marymount. It's private, 4-year degree college, university. We're going to be offering our 200-hour, and maybe the 300, I'm not sure. But anyway, one of our programs, we're offering the 200-hour yoga teacher training certification at the university level. And they also have a master's degree in yoga. So you could actually get a full master's degree in yoga. And then you could teach at the be a professor at university, teaching yoga to professor level at the university. And there's so many opportunities. You could write books, they're even creating a PhD program as well. So anyway, there's so many opportunities in the higher levels once you get started with yoga. It has truly transformed from what it used to be as like this stretching thing that people did at the YMCA to a PhD program at university level. And there's so many opportunities. People everywhere need this medicine. And you can be a healer, you can be a teacher and a coach. So join us. You can find out more information. Just email me, flowstate, support@flowstate.yoga. You can contact us on the website at flowstate.yoga. Find me on Instagram. And I will see you guys soon. Many blessings, my friends. Love you so much. People need this stuff so much in the world. Exactly. I love you. I love you. Many blessings.